Are you ready to live the life you deserve? Do you want to feel vibrantly healthy and reach your optimal weight without dieting while being kind to animals and the planet? Then you're in the right place at the right time. Get ready to hear from doctors, nutritionists, experts, and everyday men and women committed to creating a powerful life in mind, body, and soul through ethical food choices. Welcome to Plant-Based Eating for Health with your host, certified plant-based nutritionist, Kathleen Gage.
Hey everybody, it's Kathleen Gage with Power Up for Profits and Plant-Based Eating for Health. And today I'm really excited because I have a bona fide plant-based eater and plant-based lifestylist with me. Alexi Bracey is a thriving as you age health coach, mentor, and consultant, plant-based chef, and environmental healthy home expert after Alexi conquered cancer. She changed her chef's hat to one of a plant-based nutritionist. She spent the last 20 years learning what pieces of the puzzle are needed to achieve and maintain excellent health, nutritionally, emotionally, and environmentally. Her programs and services have provided life-changing information to those who are open to thriving on a plant-based and healthy lifestyle. Alexi, great to have you here.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. And you know what I'm really excited about, as you know, we had a conversation a while ago. I've been plant-based for about 16 to 17 months now. It's been a total game changer for me. I started because of inflammation and the benefits. If I would have known the benefits, I would have probably started a lot sooner. But share with everybody how you came to move into a plant-based lifestyle. It had to do with cancer. And so let's hear a little bit about that.
Well, I had moved out to, I'm in Canada, so I had moved out to British Columbia, and I was just outside of Vancouver, and I was diagnosed with cancer, and my girlfriend introduced me to a raw food diet that was really hitting the shores of the West Coast 20 years ago when it was a really hot topic. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that resonates with me. I mean, it's a lot easier to eat raw food when the winters don't get as cold as they do in Ontario. And so I embraced that, and I continued to do a lot of studies, on emotions and environment. And I really resonated with the plant-based because it really suited my needs and it felt good. And, without drugs, surgery, or medical intervention, within a year I was cancer-free. So something was working. And so then I just continued to study all I could about health and healing and how nutrition plays a key role. And it really does. I mean, really illustrated very well by the latest documentary that just came out last fall called Game Changer. How it increases performance, agility, reduces inflammation. I mean, the whole 9 yards. And so I really am an advocate, not necessarily maybe now as much raw food, but definitely a whole food-based plant diet.
Well, for those people that are not real clear on what that means, I think the words themselves pretty much explain it, but a lot of people, for whatever reason, they choose to ignore that. So what exactly is a whole food plant-based diet?
Well, whole foods is food in its natural state without being adulterated, processed, and, cooked lightly, steamed lightly, depending what the food is. Like in a raw food diet, the enzymes are retained because you don't cook it. But through a cooked plant-based diet, there's still some nutrition in there, as long as you maybe don't overcook it, depending on what the food is. Mm-hmm. But more importantly is to eat organic. And why organic? Because our food is so heavily sprayed with toxins that sort of negate the benefits of a plant-based diet if you're consuming the pesticides, the herbicides, the fungicides that are sprayed on our food, especially glyphosates. And people don't even know what glyphosates are.
Well, why don't you tell everybody what those are?
Well, glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup, which farmers use on their crops for better crop yield. And so most people don't realize what foods are sprayed with glyphosate. Everybody identifies with wheat, but it's all beans, legumes, flax seeds, sunflower seeds, tomatoes, yams, papaya, and zucchini. So those absolutely have to be organic.
And how can somebody be sure that the foods that they're eating are definitely organic?
Well, it should have the USDA symbol on it. Local farmers, you're probably, your best bet, or optimally grow your own.
Right, right. Well, I'm fortunate to live in a farming community, and we have a farmer's market in the winter and in the summer. So I feel pretty blessed with that. But before I went plant-based, I really didn't pay much attention. And now I realize there's different layers to the awareness that we get in going plant-based. So what is the difference from your perspective between a plant-based eater and a vegan eater?
Well, a vegan doesn't do anything where the end product comes from an animal, or an insect. So vegans don't consume eggs or dairy or butter, and they don't consume honey, because honey is considered, part of that protocol. And so, the misinformation that people have about eggs is if they're free-range eggs, that doesn't necessarily mean free range. By definition is you're getting 2 feet more in cramped quarters. So know the source where you get your eggs, whether it's a farmer that you know of, or definitely grass fed, because free range, what are they fed? They're still fed probably soy.
Right.
So
I see your puppy dog in the background there. What kind of dog do you have?
I've got 2 of them. I've got Wheaten Terriers.
Okay. Well, I'm an animal advocate. And, for me, once I went plant-based and I really did my research, I realized how out of alignment I was by ever consuming animals. And then on the other hand, I was doing animal rescue. And it's like, wait a minute, there's a disconnect. And do you think that a lot of people come to that realization of one day they kind of wake up, or they come to with this realization of, oh my gosh, this whole time I've been saying how compassionate I am to animals, and yet on the flip side, I'm doing things that are very uncompassionate.
Well, that's very true, but people don't see the face. They just see the chicken, the breast, the fillet. They don't see the face, because very often people that go to, tourists that are going to Asian markets where they see the ducks hanging in the window and they see the face, they go, oh, how gross. But they don't put 2 and 2 together, because your chicken is the same thing. The beef from your animal is the same thing. And I say to them, would you eat your dog? Well, no, I wouldn't. Well, what's the difference?
Right.
I mean, I know they eat dogs in Thailand, but that's, in North America, we don't.
Right.
There's a disconnect.
So what is your commitment to raising the awareness so that people more fully understand that if they're eating anything that at one point had a face or a mother, that it probably is out of alignment with their compassion for animals? How do you go about educating people, or do you?
Yeah, well, I definitely do educate people through my food prep classes, through online courses, through consultations and coaching. But I challenge people, try it for a week and see how you feel. Get a friend to do it with you for moral support. Or, at the very least, try meatless Mondays, and then the next week include Monday and Tuesday, and then maybe the next week include Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever. Get your whole family involved as a challenge. See who can do the best, and who is, maybe loses undesired weight, or feels better, or sleeps better, whatever the case may be.
That was the thing that I did when I decided to go plant-based because of inflammation. I thought, okay, I'll give it a week, because what I was reading indicated that I would see some pretty dramatic changes quite rapidly. And within 2 days, the inflammation that I felt in my hand was gone. within a week, I dropped 5 pounds. So I thought, okay, I'll give it another week. And I wasn't dieting. I've tried every diet on the face of the earth and known to man and womankind. And I just thought, this is not about a diet. This is just about getting rid of pain. Well, within 2 weeks, I dropped about 8 pounds. And I thought, well, I'm going to give it another few weeks. And that led into where I'm at now, 35 pounds lighter, more energy, more endurance. I'm a runner, not a fast runner, but I do run, and I can go longer distances without the pain. And this is what I try to emphasize to people. You're going to be given a quality of life that you didn't even know existed. So with your cancer reversal and your healing and your health, what are some of the things that people who might be dealing with health issues could do to start on the path of at least trying this so that they can, and you said the 7 days, but what are some strategies, like what can they do in their kitchen? What can they do to get support from their family, if at all? Because I hear a lot of people don't get support from their family. I was fortunate to do so. What's your recommendation there?
Well, definitely start by eliminating meat, because meat is very acid forming. Mm-hmm. You know, aside from the ethical point of view, just, you know, or like when you invite people over for dinner, you just say, come on over for dinner. You don't say, come on over for dinner, it's going to be vegetarian, because people just want to have a conversation with you and maybe have a dinner party, and you just don't tell people that there's meat. And very often people don't even realize it. You know, it's really amazing. People just don't realize that, oh, there wasn't any meat, but right. I filled up on the food that was there, because the food is micronutrient rich, and that's what really decreases the inflammation and is definitely better for health. Some years ago, I was executive chef at a wellness spa, and after dinner, I would go speak to the guests. So through the week, typically it was women, and on weekends, the women would drag their husbands there. And so Sunday after lunch, they would check out. So I always had a conversation with them as they're having lunch, and 100% of the time, the men said, I am so surprised I was satiated. Without question, 100% of the men. Like they were just flabbergasted.
That's amazing. Well, I just started reading Dr. Joel Fuhrman's book, The Fast Food Genocide, and he talks about that, how when we fill up with the empty calories and the very non-nutrient, well, how would you put that? Garbage dense, I guess.
Well, yeah. Well, macronutrients are carb dense. They fill you up. Just empty calories, though.
Right. And a lot of people don't realize that as they start replacing the unhealthy foods with the healthy foods, they actually are satiated much quicker. They can sustain it longer. Now, a big thing that's going on right now, Alexi, is the intermittent fasting. How do you feel about that?
Well, I would say intermittent fasting is definitely gives your body a rest and shorten the time throughout the day when you're consuming food. Mm-hmm. You know, definitely.
What's your recommendation?
Well, I have a smoothie for breakfast every day, and so I don't eat till 10 or 11, and dinner is over no later than 6.
And that's about the protocol I'm doing. I start usually eating about 10:30 in the morning, and I stop at 6, maybe 6:30. And what I find most amazing is I was convinced, because again, there's a lot of propaganda out there, and we've been convinced of things that may not necessarily be true, like we have to have animal protein in order to live. And I was talking to my mother-in-law today, and I said, 17 months later, I'm still alive and I'm healthier than ever without meat. But I was concerned about my workouts, because I do weight training, I do running, I do bicycling. I'm a very active person, and I was concerned that I wouldn't have the energy. Shockingly, I have more energy now that I'm intermittent fasting, and I started the first of the year. I thought, okay, I'll give this a month. And for me, I like to test things out. There's certain things I'm very black and white with, like I don't drink. I haven't had a drink in 36 years because it made me fall down a lot. So I was just one of those that it was better not to drink than to drink. But with the eating protocols, I like to test things. And when I've proven to myself that I've had an improvement, then I will continue on. What would you say are some of the greatest myths that people have been given that hold them back as far as their health?
Protein. Where am I going to get the protein? I mean, it's totally a myth. For example, what does a horse, a gorilla, a giraffe, and a hippo have in common? They are the strongest animals on the planet, and they are vegetarian. You know, there is more protein in a cup of broccoli versus a 4-ounce chicken breast. There's more protein in a cup of lettuce than the equivalent amount in pork. I mean, that just boggles people's minds. That just boggles people's minds. Plus, all the nuts and seeds and legumes, they all have protein, anywhere from 2 to 3 to 5 to 7 grams of protein.
Right, right. Well, I think if people would just open their eyes and look around, and they would see the health condition that most people are in, that what is it, about 70 to 80% of people are overweight, and with obesity it's at what, 30, 35%? I don't have the exact figures, but I know it's pretty substantial. And a lot of the diseases that we now take for granted that we're going to get, it's not a if you get it, it's when you get it for most people. And yet a lot of people are not willing to make any changes that could literally save their life. I have a friend who he was going to have his toes amputated because of diabetes. And we had been talking for quite some time. And I said, Roger, you really have to make some changes in your diet. No. I know what my doctor said. I need to have this kind of protein, and on and on. Well, when they finally got to the point they were going to take his toes off, he said, tell me about that plant-based diet. And he changed some pretty dramatic changes, and within a month he's dropped a bunch of weight. He said, I haven't been feeling this good for quite some time. His feet were not hurting like they had been, and he was now a believer that a plant-based diet could literally save his life. What do you see as the future of the plant-based movement? Because I know Super Bowl Sunday, we had a lot of commercials to do with plant-based meats, and yet they put cheese on the sausage, and it's like, oh, you're defeating the purpose. So where do you see everything going, Alexi?
I think, people are waking up, just like people are going to holistic and alternative healthcare providers because the mainstream allopathic isn't working for them. And they're exploring other venues. And then when they, maybe have friends that are vegetarian and how well they're doing, and they're not on meds, or they're not lined up to have hip replacement or knee replacement or COPD, they're starting to think. And of course, media doesn't really do it justice in the sense that they've now introduced the veggie burger, plant-based veggie burger at McDonald's, but it's still processed food,
Right.
So it's about educating people, sharing your knowledge, whether it's through podcasts or through videos or through classes or talks, and just getting the word out, and just challenge people. I challenge you, just try it.
Right.
What have you got to lose? Absolutely nothing.
Except a few pounds, a few meds, a few aches and pains. That's the only thing you're going to lose. So how do people get in touch with you, Alexi?
Well, I really am promoting my app, which is the Whole Health app. And it's sort of a little tricky to get online or to access it. If you have an Android, you type in Whole Health, one word, lowercase. If you have an iPhone, you have to type in the Whole Health app, the first letter uppercase. And the logo is a pink background with a little figurine in it. And there's lots of information on the app. Lots of resources, there's videos, there's audios, articles that, people can be very well educated if they just took the time. We spend so much time on Google, on apps, so download this app because it may indeed save your life.
Okay. And we'll go ahead and put that information in the show notes to make sure that people have access to it. And first of all, thank you very much for sharing your information, because I love connecting with plant-based educators and consultants. And I know in your business, you actually consult with people. What is it that you would do with a client that would help them to move more into a plant-based lifestyle? Let's say somebody is very interested and they want to have you consult with them. What would you do for them?
Well, I have a very in-depth questionnaire just to see which body systems are the weakest and to strengthen those. And then, of course, your food is a big component of it. So just point out to people that, your liver is overtaxed because you're eating so much meat, and the pancreas is overtaxed because you're eating so much sugar-laden whatever. So, a bit of education, say, this organ is compromised, this organ needs a little bit of help. And it has been shown in research, and I can verify it to the client, that if you change what you were eating, it will make a big difference.
And what would you, if you could only pick one book to recommend to people, what one book and what one authority would you say is the go-to resource for somebody just starting out?
Dr. Furman's book, I can't remember which book it is, but he promotes the G-BOMBs, the acronym. Every day we should eat greens, beans, mushrooms, onions, berries, and seeds.
I was listening to him when I was in the gym this morning. It's like, instead of listening to boom, boom, boom music, I listened to Dr. Furman. I listened to Caldwell, Esselstyn, all of them. And his book, what is it? Fast Food Genocide talks about the G-BOMBs. Eat to Live talks about the G-BOMBs. So anything by Dr. Joel Furman, I agree with you. So, well, thank you so much for sharing your insights, and I appreciate you coming on to the show. We'll put all your contact information in the show notes, and I encourage people, give it a week. Just try it for a week. Like Alexi says, I challenge you to try this for a week. Alexi, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. And keep up your good work promoting plant-based eating.
Thank you.
Thank you for your commitment to an ethical life through plant-based food choices. The kind of choices that are kind to your body, the environment, and most of all, animals. Be sure to leave a review and rating of the Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show.